Ndala, 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 ndala. Welcome. So today I wanted to talk about a letter that I've received that I thought was really tied to some of the subject that I've discussed on my channel regarding African totems. And it was one of the subjects that was polled a few months ago, I think. Regarding your interest in knowing a little bit more about African totems and relationships. So before I dive into the actual letter and the question, I want to just clarify a few things because of the comments that I've seen, some of the messages that I've received. I've noticed that there's still a lot of confusion and convolution in terms of what I am talking about when I'm speaking about African totems. Okay, so first of all, since there's a lot of you who are new, please make sure to be comfortable. This may also help you as you navigate through the content on this channel. First of all, when I speak of African totems, I am not speaking of Native American totems, indigenous totems, animal spirits and all of that. I'm not speaking of any of that. And as much as it may be fun to compare systems, to try to equate things in such nature, this is not what I do on this channel. And matter of fact, I often encourage people to not do that type of exercise unless you understand each of the systems that you're trying to compare. A lot of the things when people try to compare this item from that spiritual system and this item from some esoteric systems or some other religious system, they have a surface level understanding of the initial concept that they're trying to compare or relate to or merge together. And that's very dangerous because you may equating something that has nothing to do with what you think it is because you have a surface level understanding of that. That's not what we're doing on this channel. The notion of African totem that I'm speaking of is from my own tradition. As mentioned, for those of you who are new, I'm Cameroonian from the Bamileke tribe, and this is the perspective I'm taking. Of course, in other African cultures and countries, you have things that are similar. I cannot speak for all of the different traditions. In Africa, there's not just West Africa, okay? Because many of you come here and they say, oh, in West Africa, Africa is really vast and huge, and there are traditions in all of the tribes of Africa. Not all of them have totem traditions, first of all. And I am speaking from a very specific perspective, and I'm also speaking from a perspective that is mine. So you may be from the same tribe as me and have a different perspective. That's fine. I cannot speak for your perspective. I can only speak from mine. Okay? Now, the biggest notion to understand, especially for those of you who are new here on this channel, is that in African spirituality, or when we're talking about African totem, not everybody has one. This is not that you get a totem, no. This is not something that you born with it and that everybody has. No, it's not that. And believe me, if you don't have one, you should be grateful for that and move on. This is not something that you're listening to and you just want to jump into it. It's not that. And most of you who keep sending me messages about what is my totem, my animal totem, and this and that, you may be confusing this with the Native American animal totems, where everybody gets one. And even in that spiritual system, it's not just anybody gets one and you get it just because somebody's telling you this, or you get it just because you want one. Usually there's a process through which you get assigned an animal totem based on some of your own characteristics, which means that this is not somebody who doesn't know you, who's just, having like a reading session and they tell you, okay, this is your animal totem. The original traditional, and this is what the indigenous people, they used to stay in communal. So the person that was revealing your totem to you was somebody who had the opportunity to observe you as you grow from being a child to an adult. some of the rites of passage, you were declared your totem based on the personality that you had manifested, that you had reflected, that the elders had observed. So it wasn't something that you were going on the internet 4 or 5 minutes and then reading 4 or 5 articles and assigning yourself something. Self-deciding, or, self-identifying, whatever. This is something that the elder, that the community provided to you as a way for you to better understand your own personality, your own physicality, and things that were unique to yourself, but that you may share some of those aspects with somebody else. Therefore, you had the name of the animal totem, and then you had another qualification, another qualitative with it. And it wasn't something that you went out and chose for yourself, just because it sounds nice, or it looks good, or it makes you feel good, or whatever. And unlike popular belief, there is advantages, but there are also responsibilities that come with it. So now we're focusing on African animal totems. If you haven't done so, go watch the video that I've made on African animal totems, on mineral totems and plant totems, because they also exist. The emphasis is that this is not something that you wake up one morning and decide to do or start calling on to yourself. This is something that's being passed on from a generation. Meaning, if your grandfather didn't have this totem, you don't have one. And I didn't say that you can't establish those type of relationships, but this is not what my video is about, and I haven't taught that to anyone here. And this is not what I'm discussing. But essentially, if your grandfather, your elders, people in your family didn't have one, you don't have one. Because this is not something that you wake up and you start, you just want to do and you just get it. Even if you were to work on establishing those relationships or creating those bonds, you wouldn't have a totem. Maybe the generation following you could be the first to establish that totemic relationship. So for those of you who are just, on a quick hive looking for some quick, I don't know what you're looking for, something that's quick and easy, this is not it. That is not it. Most of the tradition, the African tradition and the indigenous tradition, most of them are traditions that took centuries to be born, that took centuries to be established, that you're not going to get in 4 or 5 articles online or doing 4 or 5 workshops. And thinking like that means you don't have a good understanding of what tradition actually means. And I've made a video about tradition. When people say I'm starting my own tradition, you are starting something for the generations to come. That means this tradition is not going to exist until other people pick it up for centuries and establish and prove itself. This is not something that you can just wake up in the morning and just do like that. It may take you a lifetime and then nobody picks it up on it. Then it doesn't become a tradition. It will just be something that you did. And it's important to get those different notions and those nuances, because a lot of you are jumping from one system to the other, looking for something specific, looking for some of you are looking to escape, and there's no escaping. No matter where you go, there are going to be rules. So for those of you who have sent me messages about that, I'm like, if you escape Christianity because the rules were too fuzzy, no matter where you're going, there will be rules. No matter what community you're trying to join, there will be rules, because that's how you keep order. There is no organization or no groups that don't have rules, because you need rules in order for everyone to know what their place is, to know what their space, the latitude, the boundaries of things, and to know where they can go, and to have a reference point. This is not the type of point that I like to discuss or enjoy discussing, but I've seen that there's so much confusion, so much clutter, and also because there are many of you that are new to the channel, so you get started with some type of understanding. Animal totem requires a lot out of a person. It's not a pet that tomorrow you decide you don't want your pet anymore and then you sell it. It's not that. It's not that you decide your pet, whether your totem's gonna have kids or babies and stuff like that, or you decide to sell. Oh, I can't keep all of the puppies. I need to sell and get rid of some of them. It's not that type of relationship. A totem is not a pet. So it's kind of like you really need to put on the side what you know, what your expectations are, in order to even just have a basic understanding of some of the notions that I am sharing when I'm discussing some of the subjects. It's kind of like forget what you know, because you don't know anything on this particular topic. And so before you start mixing up and confusing this with that, or you heard something else and stuff like that, be precise about it. Was it from the Bamileke perspective? Was it from the same village? If not, this is just something else that you classify in a different box. Just like you go to the library, there are different books. Each book is different. You can look at Amazon and see the same topics written by 20, 50 people. But each book is different because it was written by somebody who's different. So that's the same thing. When you see something that sounds similar, African animal spirits, it's not the same as an animal totem. It's not because it sounds similar, there's the animal, oh, it should be the same. You mixing that with tarot cards on animals. You are mixing things that shouldn't be mixed together. The tarot system comes from a different tradition. The animal totem in the Native American is a different tradition. And even within the Native Americans, depending on which tribe you go, there are nuances, there are differences. It's not to your benefits to lump everything together like that. You know, if you don't want to have one, it's a good thing because you do not understand the responsibility that comes with it. A lot of the messages that I get, I do see the person is the person who's asking certain questions. Some of you who are writing to me are still emotionally unstable. And I'm not talking about some clinical term. I'm just talking about in your own message, I can already sense the anger. I can already sense the resentment, either from your Christian background or the past relationship that you had and stuff like that. And those are not things that you will mix with this type of knowledge that you think you want to acquire. Because before you can even be exposed to that, you need to deal with all of this baggage. You need to be able to have an understanding that it's not because you know something about something or you know how to do something that you have to do it. And if you're not understanding all of the baggage and dealing with it and dealing with those emotions, you may use all of the knowledge that you are obtaining in a way that's not going to be beneficial nor for you nor for the people around you or the people you're using them towards. Okay, so now that this introduction is out of the way, I really don't like to do this because to me, those are things that are, basic. It's basic that when you're learning about something that you don't know, that you don't barge into with all kind of other things. If I'm learning about a specific Native American system, I'm just quiet and I learn what is being taught to me, and I explore what I don't know. And I look at it with my eyes as somebody who doesn't know. And I don't convolute what's being taught to me or what's being offered to me with anything else that I've picked up and something like that. It's kind of like somebody offering you a traditional dish and you add your ketchup on it. It's highly disrespectful to the person offering to you and is not beneficial to you because you haven't even tasted what is being offered to you before you think you need some ketchup, some sugar. So that's that. I do encourage you to be open-minded and to be a student, to be open to learn. And sometimes learning does not mean that you need to participate in it. Sometimes it can be just, okay, I see that in this tradition, this is how they perceive things, this is how they do things. It doesn't mean you need to jump in there and start being part of that tradition, especially if this tradition is not yours. But it does mean that you have a better understanding, a greater understanding of what is being done and how people are viewing things around the world. And I think to me, that's kind of the better way to approach things. That when somebody is looking at you, looking at something that you don't know, that you've never heard of, that's new to you, that you don't just jump and start doing things when you don't even understand what's going on. It's a lot more to your own benefit to just look at it as, okay, this is like a different information, this is something different. I'm looking at it, I'm observing it. Don't don't insert yourself in it if it has nothing to do with you. Now, I know that for some of you, it may answer some of the questions you've had, because I've exchanged with people from all over, from different countries, from the United States as well, from Australia, from South Africa, from all over, who had experiences where the relationship that they have with a specific animal is similar and very alike a totem, African totem relationship, or what I'm speaking about. So for those individuals that already have that as an establishment, before coming to my videos or before searching on the internet, they already had certain experiences. Okay, they didn't provoke anything. They're not trying to look on the internet to see what they can do to provoke those type of things. They already have that in their experience. So this type of videos, this type of exchanges may help them on their path, especially if they don't have the elder person to guide them where they are. It may bring them a little bit of understanding in terms of the advantages, but also the responsibility that comes with it. And I think in most of the video I've made, I try to highlight both of them, because a lot of people who are trying to provoke things, I want an animal totem, they are basically very immature because they do not understand the responsibility that comes with it. If you can't even manage and balance your own life, how the hell do you think you're going to manage and balance an additional living being that is not going to be subordinate to you like a pet? Okay, that is not going to be your vehicle for emotional satisfaction. That living being is gonna have a mind on its own. Is gonna have their own goals, their own thing that they want to achieve. So, anyways, I just wanted to make sure things were clarified, so that for those of you who are new, when you go and watch the other animal totem videos, you have a greater understanding, and that some of the questions will clarify a few things for you, and so that you won't have questions as some of that I've received. Now to the question and topic of the day, which the question was basically, when you are in a relationship and the relationship is not working and it's not going, or when you're trying to get into a relationship, can your animal totem be an issue, a problem? So, and I'm not going to go into the specific detail, since I've already replied to the person who sent me this wisdom letter. And I've also had her permission to share with you this, because I do think it's important that certain things are not convoluted together nilly-willy. So the first premise is that not everyone has animal totems. Therefore, before you even start thinking, is it my animal totem that's preventing me from this relationship from working, anything like that, first of all, you have to have one in order to even discuss that. Since the person was saying that both individual have one, or asking whether each the totem of each person are not compatible or matchable or whatever. What I'm saying is that before you even jump to that step, you first need to know, do you even have one, and does this person even have one? Okay, and what is very simple is telling me that you don't. None of you do. Neither you, neither that person. Because most people want to assign totem to themselves. If you don't know that you have a totem, most likely you don't have one. Because if you had one, you will know. And this is why I said, so a lot of the videos, some of them are most beneficial and most relevant to those who already have those experiences, who already know. And they know, not because I'm telling you, not because they came onto one of my videos, but because of the specific experiences that they had with this animal since they were little, since they were children, until they're now adults, but seeking for answers. Okay, so the first thing I'll say is, like, most of you wondering this, or for this person who sent me the letter, you don't even have an animal totem. And this is also more particular because I've taken the time to speak with this person. And this is why you also need to differentiate. Animal emblems and national totems are not the same as a personal totem that you are responsible for, or that your family is responsible for. It has nothing to do with that. Some of the tribes, some of certain countries have a national totem, like Congo is the leopard. Okay, the leopard is a national emblem. Cameroon has a lion. It's a national emblem. It's a national totem. It doesn't mean that you as an individual, you have it tied to this specific animal. Okay, and this is something that you need to understand. And this is something that you shouldn't be provoking or inserting yourself into because you don't even understand what are the responsibilities and the consequences. You may be just thinking about the positive aspects of it, what you can get out of it. And that's what most people do. They're only thinking, oh, what can I get out of it? Oh, this is what it looks advantageous to you because you're only thinking on one side and you're not anticipating the other. What is it going to require you? What sacrifices? Okay? And so, number one, I'll say this. Not everybody has totems, and it's most likely not anything about the totem. If you're there sitting and thinking about it, that means it's not. And even if it was something about your personal totem and you do have one, you will know if your totem was just like, okay, this person, it may not be compatible. There may be issue with that person because it will be shown to you. The issues, whatever else, will be shown to you. So that's number two. But for most people, it has nothing to do with that. For most people, it has to do with you wandering and on a different level, and for that person in particular. And this is why you see me emphasizing love on this channel. And I know that love is coming out of fashion. That people are saying, oh, you need to focus on other things and put this and that. Fine, you do as you please. But one of the reasons why I emphasize love is because it is the only force. If you're not religious, you don't believe in anything or whatever, love is the only force that is unlimitedly at your disposition when you want to shield yourself against negative energy, against whatever else. It's the only force that can help you transcend some of those rules. Some of those things that are very rigid, that are, space, time, what have you. Love is the only force that is immediately at your at your access to transcend all of that. And there is this saying that says, where there is a will, there is a way. And to me, it summarizes what I'm trying to say in terms of love. We've seen nations at war because of love. We've seen nations come together because of love. We've seen people travel and do extraordinary, impossible things because of love. And heal and give and help humanity in extraordinary ways that any other force hasn't shown us. So people can say, well, when you are hatred and sadness or anger can also help you do things, extraordinary things. Sure, they can. However, it may not be to the benefits of more people than yourself. And this is the thing that you can see with love. With the extraordinary things that you can do can touch the life in a positive way of a large amount of people, way beyond yourself or this unique other person. And there's a lot to say and unpack about that. But essentially, the answer to the letter that was sent was that animal totems are not toys. If they are something that your animal totem wants to tell you, you will know about it. You will get messages about it. And it has nothing to do with whether you're aware and all of that. This is why a lot of you who are wondering about that or trying to look for clarification, you've already gotten those messages. And they're not from me. They have nothing to do with me. They have nothing to do with your parents or going to the zoo or anything like that. They have to do with the own experience that you've had, that animal coming to you in dreams repeatedly since you were a child. Not you just watching this video and then dreaming about a lion or a giraffe or a flamingo. It's something that happened to you over and over and over and over again. You may even have snippets or memories with your grandmother telling you things that are only making sense today. Of stories that you've heard in your family that are only making sense now. So those are things that are tangible, and those are not things that a psychic can assign to you. And this is what I say, if there's something that the animal totem wants you to know, it will tell you directly if you are the custodian of it. Okay, you wouldn't need to go see somebody divining or anything like that for you to know. However, you may go and see that for clarification in terms of how to deal with the messages. These are two different things. somebody doing a psychic reading in terms of telling you what the animal totem is telling you, that is not what that is not part of our tradition and how we perceive things. That means you are going on a tangent into something else, you know, because this is not how it functions in my tradition, at least. Now, I can't speak for other traditions. I don't know. There are so many different things happening that I wouldn't be able to tell you. But if you're telling me, oh, I'm not sure if this is that or like, that means it's a no. That means it's a no. Keep it simple. The same way, if you will be told what you need to know at the time that you need to know it, you know, and the easiest way and the best way for you to do, the best way for you to be open to receiving and learning and doing all of that is by cleansing yourself, is by dealing with your anger, dealing with your past hurt, dealing with all of the darkness and the things that you are holding on to or that are within yourself. You should be able to look at certain things and not make your decision based on how someone else has hurt you. The decision should be based on what is best for you, regardless of what this other person does. Do you understand that if you are, let's say, a nice person or a good person or a kind person or a polite person, if you are, let's take the example of a polite person. If you are a polite person, you are a polite person because that's who you are. You're not a polite person because polite people are seen a certain way in society, or that politeness is being rewarded a certain way. And for you, the way you will know that you're not a polite person for external appearances is when you are thrown in a situation where you are challenged. And then you'll see if the seller comes out of you, takes over. Okay, then you'll see on the long term, when you're thinking about doing certain things, when you're reflecting, where is your motivation comes from. Are you being motivated because from your politeness, or are you being motivated from what someone else is doing? This is a way for you to kind of have a better idea and kind of grasp, is it something that you're doing for yourself because of who you are, or is it something that you're doing because you can benefit from it? And a lot of that is being seen in some of the movement that we see nowadays. People are jumping in those movements because they know they can benefit from it, even if it means asking for tolerance while at the same time being intolerant of other people and other people's view. Okay, so I hope this is useful to some of you out there. I always love doing those wisdom letters because in addition to the specific person who sent me this question and to whom I've replied and give some information, I think it may also be useful to other people. I always think that when one person has a question, there may be 1,000 person out there that may have the similar same question. And so doing this is a way for you to also get a better understanding, maybe discover for some of you if you didn't know any of this. And of course, you can let me know what you think in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.